So we've got Jeff in New Jersey. Thanks for waiting.
Hi, Matt and Jen. I was really hoping earlier that Martin and Russell would be on today because it's not a big deal. But
all right, screw you then.
Thanks.
You're stuck with us.
Sorry?
You're stuck with us.
You know we publish the schedule ahead of time, right?
I'm interested in your guys' opinion as well on this.
And actually, that's a good point. Let Jen make this point real quick.
You know we publish the schedule ahead of time, right?
I know that now.
Yeah, so if you go to atheist-experience.com, there's a schedule for about the next 4 or 5 weeks. It's not always correct because like last week I had to get a substitute, but it's generally pretty close to correct.
Gotcha. Okay. So Martin and Russell were discussing a few episodes ago, well, they got a call regarding a hypothetical of if a church were to sue over not being able to perform gay marriages, whether that would be a violation of separation of church and state. And I thought I just wanted to call in and get your opinion on this. Was actually an issue in a real case in North Carolina that ended up being rendered moot by the Supreme Court not taking that slew of cases back in September, October regarding gay marriage. But the United Church of Christ in North Carolina was suing the state because the state's gay marriage ban criminalized priests officiating gay marriages, and the United Church of Christ feels that people are entitled to be married. So I thought I wanted to get your guys' take on that.
Are you sure the marriage ban criminalized the churches performing marriages with gay couples?
Yeah, I've got the opinion in front of me. It's
so what were the criminal penalties associated with doing this?
I'm trying to get to that part of the.
While you're looking that up, kind of the specifics of it, which I'll let you get to in a minute. There's something about this that on the surface seems like it might be a good kind of end around to say, hey, by not allowing us to marry people, you are violating our religious freedoms, and so you get that worked in. The problem with it is marriage, from the government standpoint, churches are irrelevant, religions are irrelevant. You have a marriage license. It is a contract from the state. And so if we allow same-sex couples to marry, that we should not and essentially could not ever require churches to marry same-sex couples. That would be a violation of their religious freedom. You can't force somebody to perform a ceremony that is in opposition to their religious freedom. And churches can still have wedding ceremonies for same-sex couples all they want. They always could, because a church ceremony does not a marriage make. Despite what they'd like to tell you. The marriage is made in the license. It is a recognition by the state. And so these issues are pretty much separate. So it's not really a good avenue of attack. But if the law that you're talking about prohibits churches from having a ceremonial marriage for a same-sex couple, then I think that would be a violation of the religious liberties, because that church isn't necessarily required to provide a marriage license. Actually, they don't provide marriage license. You get that from the state.
Well, and that's the thing. That's a clear violation of the Constitution, because irrespective of whether it's a same-sex couple or a heterosexual couple, because the law can't dictate to a church what kind of ceremonies it can perform for its congregants. So. It's really not a marriage equality issue so much as it is the state is stepping in and telling a church what you can and can't do, and there are real limitations on what they can do with that.
If what's actually happened with the law is that the state is telling churches that they cannot grant marriage licenses and sign marriage licenses for same-sex couples, then they're not violating their religious liberty. They're just saying marriage licenses are a state issue, and we're willing to let you sign them as officiants and have people turn them in, provided you are in compliance with the state's regulations. It's kind of the same thing as we've seen with some religious sects wanting to use illicit drugs. We're very sorry that your religion requires you to use something that's illegal, but that doesn't mean that you get to do it. And you can extend this to the extremes to say, my religion requires that I sacrifice, 4-year-olds. So you have to allow me to do that in order to have my religious freedom. And the answer is hell no. not only are we not going to allow you to do it, but if you do it, we're going to prosecute you because your particular religious belief is stupid and harmful.
Gotcha. I've got that language, by the way.
Sure.
Okay.
It's two parts. I'll try and read them through very quickly. Solemnization without a license is unlawful. No minister, officer, or any other person authorized to solemnize a marriage under the laws of this state, North Carolina, shall perform a ceremony of marriage between a man and a woman, or shall declare them to be husband and wife until there is delivered to that person a license for the marriage of said persons, signed by the Register of Deeds. Every minister, officer, or any other person authorized to solemnize a marriage under the laws of this state who marries any couple without a license being first delivered to that person as required by law or after the expiration of such a license, or who fails to return such license to the deed of registers is guilty of a first-degree misdemeanor and fined $200.
And see, I'd have to know what they mean by solemnizes because to me, this does kind of read like you can't even perform the ceremony, because to say you can't solemnize any marriage without a license. Well, how would you do that? I mean, so that does seem to be ceremonial. So it may be that the language of this is just horrible. But I don't know.
I agree.
I don't think this is going to get us any closer to either marriage equality or the banning of marriage equality. Yeah. This really is kind of, and it's not that uncommon that we have laws that are written poorly.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if you read the Texas ban on gay marriage that was passed by the voters in Texas with some ridiculous majority a few years ago, if you read that, it actually bans marriage in Texas.
Yeah. It's written so poorly nobody can get married.
It was a horribly written piece of legislation.
This is what happened. This is what happened when people on a mission very hastily tried to scratch out some protection. They could end up painting themselves into a corner, and that's what they did.
Right. Like they just passed. Someone put forward a bill in Oklahoma, I think, about permitting gay reparative therapy, and it reads that it is legal to basically run a clinic to repress or cure yourself of any sexual attraction. So I cannot wait for someone to start a straight reparative clinic and for everyone to just go insane.
And what could possibly go wrong with something like this, right?
Right. Of course not. Anyway, I thank you guys very much for your thoughts. I was really curious.
Sure. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
You have a good one.